Mr. KBS Anand, who's MD and CEO of Asian Paints, joins in to discuss the impact for the paints industry as India Inc. gets GST ready, and the countdown for that has begun. Mr. Anand, it's great to have you, sir, on the show. Your current tax rate is 25% on paints. That's going to go up to 28%. How meaningful would this change be for your business, sir?
It'll have a marginal impact, nothing very significant either way.
Right. The market believes that it will be marginally negative. Do you go with that theory? Do you believe that at least for a couple of weeks in the transition that there would be some adjustments you may have to make?
I really don't understand how the markets think or operate. I don't think there is much impact either which way of the change in taxation rates. So, due to the taxation rates, I don't think there will be an impact. Due to the implementation of GST through the learning process, the impact on trade, and there could be something there.
Mr. Anand, what we're trying to gauge is, does your pricing strategy change henceforth? Because what's along with GST implementation also happening is crude prices have come off quite a fair bit. So your RMC costs, I guess, also would be marginalized. Would you look to pass on any sort of benefit to customers, or are you looking at increasing prices? What's the strategy?
I don't discuss the strategy on air.
I understand, but just give us a little brief color.
So you're not going to get much details on this from me. But we are in a competitive environment. So, if my margins become very fat, competitors act and I am forced to react, and vice versa.
That's cool. Clearly, you have quite a strategy in place with that statement, Mr. Anand. But sir, in all this talk about the industry being GST ready, how do you look at the transition phase under the new tax regime? It's clearly going to be reformist in nature.
Definitely, but it's going to take a little time because we directly deal with about 50,000 small shopkeepers all over the country. How many of them are really going to fall under which slab and compliant to what extent? How the implementation, connectivity, portal, everything is going to work is dependent on a whole series of factors. I think we'll chug along. I don't think anything will go drastically haywire one way or the other. So let's wait and see.
Okay. Mr. Anand, I understand you're not going to talk about your pricing strategy, definitely not on air. Tell us how dealers have been behaving ahead of GST. Is there any destocking activity that you've noticed?
There has been a marginal destocking of sorts, but it varies across the country, varies across type of dealers, etc., etc.
Right. But your experience, what has it been like right now? Are your dealers sounding comfortable?
I'm in a quiet period. My results come out in a short period of time. I can't talk about that at this point of time.
Please, sir, with due respect, we are not trying to ask for numbers or elicit any kind of response.
So if you're going to tell me I'm a positive or negative, I can't answer that, can't I?
Okay. Could you give us a very broad picture on, in this transition, purely from that standpoint, sir, not asking any numbers or indications or guidance from you, purely from the business point of view in the run-up to GST, how would you look at the demand scenario? How has that played out over the last 2 months, and how do you see that? How do you foresee that in the coming few months?
So I would say retail demand has been okay. You have seen a reflection of it in Q4 results of the previous year. Retail demand had picked up from demonetization. So we are okay with that as it stands.
Okay. Just one final word, sir. Any problems you foresee, any challenges that you foresee in lieu of GST implementation?
Of course. There's a long learning process all across an unorganized sector of retailers spread across the country where connectivity is not necessarily the best. So it's going to take a period of time and understanding for people to, if the e-way bills come online, then it is one more level of complexity. So we'll have to see how it all pans out. It'll be learning, but in India we trundle along, so I don't expect any great hiccups.